in this video, I want to give you all 3 examples of how to redeem Chase points for max value with things like business class flights and resort hotel stays. And my goal is to make things as simple as possible to understand so that anyone out there can travel almost completely for free using credit card points like I do. Now you can steal some of these examples for yourself if you want, or you can use this as sort of a step-by-step guide that you can copy, paste, and then repeat with your own Chase points. So stick around because I really think this video can be very, very valuable and save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars on travel over the next few years. And as always, the content here on this channel is completely free, so if this helps you out in any way, then be sure to tap the like button and subscribe down below because it's the best way to help support this channel. And because my previous video on Chase point examples got around 6,000 likes, let's see if we can get this one up to 3,000 likes. That way this part 2 is useful for you guys, and I know you guys like this content, and then in the future I can make a part 3. But without wasting any time, let's get right into the video here with example number 1, which is going to be a really popular flight route that millions and millions of people travel every single year across the United States. So I'm going to show you how you can do it in style, but we're going to be flying from Newark, New Jersey to San Francisco, California on United Airlines in business class with lay flat seats. Now United is obviously one of the largest airlines here in the US, so the fact that they're a transfer partner with Chase and not really any other major points currency other than Bilt Rewards is a huge advantage to anyone that's using Chase Ultimate Rewards points. So if you have Chase points and you hold either the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Chase Sapphire Reserve cards, then you get access to all these Chase transfer partners, including United Airlines. These Chase points transfer at a 1-to-1 rate with either of those Sapphire cards. So just as an example, if you got a 60,000 point sign up bonus, which is the typical base public welcome offer on those credit cards, then you could transfer those 60,000 Chase points into 60,000 points or miles across any one of those partner programs. Now let's take a look at how we can fly business class with lay flat seats on United from Newark to San Francisco. So first I want to search on the United website to find an award ticket that's going to cost me the least amount of points. And a really important thing to remember here is that when it comes to redeeming Chase points to get max value with these transfer partners is going to be that it helps if you're flexible with your travel dates, because award availability for the best deals out there can be hard to find sometimes. But just to show you, let's say that I wanted to travel sometime in June of this year. So here on the United website, I'm going to click on advanced search, and then I'm going to select flight only and show price in miles. Next, I'll search for one-way flights, and I like to search for and book one-way tickets instead of round trip when I'm using points and miles, because that's usually going to give me more flexibility for the same price for most flights, which is always good. But next, I'm going to make sure that I select Newark as the departing airport and then San Francisco as the destination. And I'll also select nonstop and then check off this box right here for flexible dates as well. I'm going to say that I want to travel sometime in June in this example. So United is going to show me a monthly view of the prices and miles for different dates in June. And then we'll switch the cabin to business because it's going to be a 6-hour flight, and sometimes that can be more relaxing to have all that extra room on a long flight, especially if you're 6'4" like me. And after everything loads, we can see that a bunch of dates say 50,000 miles plus $5.60 in fees. But this is actually some sort of an error here with the search tool because it's only on certain flights with one stop where it costs as little as 50,000 miles. So if we click on the date that I'm looking for in this example, which is going to be June 3rd, we'll see that nonstop flights are slightly more at 60,000 miles plus $5.60 in fees, but that's still a pretty good deal compared to other options for this type of flight. Now, always make sure you do a little bit of research to confirm that what you're seeing is a good deal. And it's also important to point out that since United is a member of Star Alliance with other airline programs like Air Canada Aeroplan and Singapore Airlines KrisFlyer, for certain flights, it's worth checking with those airline partner programs to see if they have any availability on saver flights that might cost less miles. But in this example, I checked and there were not any United award flights available through any of those partner airlines. So I'm going to select the flight for 8:20 a.m. that costs 60,000 miles plus $5.60 in fees. And on United's website, you also want to make sure that you confirm that these are lay flat business class seats, which are available on this route. So just take a look at the seating chart that'll show you the layout. The flight we're looking at here has a 1-2-1 setup with direct aisle access for all seats, which is exactly what we're looking for in this example. But then some other flights have this 2-4-2 setup, which might not be as comfortable. So just make sure you always try to research the seating for a flight you're booking, because it's a minor detail that can make a huge difference in the value you get from a point redemption on a flight. Now, to see if this is a good deal, what we have to do next is we've got to check the cash price as well. So let's change that to money instead of miles at the top of this page and then click on update. And with these results here, for the exact same 8:20 a.m. flight, the cheapest cost for business class, if we ignore the fully refundable ticket, is going to be $1,504. So let's do some quick math here to see if that's a good deal. The simplest way to do this is to take the cash price of $1,504 and divide it by only the miles required of 60,000 to get 2.51 cents per point. And then we can just view the extra $5.60 in taxes taxes and fees as a very small extra cost that doesn't really matter in this case because it's such a small amount. But in some other examples, like a really good award flight that I'm gonna show you next in this video, the taxes and fees can be much more than just $5. So what I like to do to get an exact cent per point value to compare all award flights apples to apples is I take the cash price of a regular ticket and then I subtract the $5.60 in taxes and fees from the award ticket. And what that does is it tells me exactly how much cash has to leave my pocket to book this flight, regardless of whether I book the ticket with points and miles or entirely in cash, because at a minimum, I'm at least paying $5.60 out of pocket if I book with points, but at a maximum, I'm paying $1,504 if I don't use points. So that gives me $1,498.40 as the excess cost if I book in cash and not with points or miles. And then I divide that number by 60,000 miles to get 2.50 cents per point, which is pretty close to the other calculation, because obviously that $5.60 in fees doesn't make a huge difference here. Now, okay, I just wanted to walk through and explain all that in detail just so you know exactly what I'm doing on the cent per point calculations for the rest of this video. But those are pretty good values. They're not great, but they are pretty good. But to decide whether it's worth it, next we have to compare it to the redemption value we get in the Chase travel portal from either the Chase Sapphire Preferred like I have here, or the Chase Sapphire Reserve, depending on what card you have. So the Sapphire Preferred gets 1.25 cents per point in the Chase portal, and the Sapphire Reserve gets 1.5 cents per point. And in this case, with an official cent per point value of 2.5, that confirms we're better off transferring this Chase points into United miles at a 1-to-1 rate to book this flight, because obviously that's the better deal with the higher cent per point value. We can actually confirm that in the portal with my Sapphire Preferred in this example, because for the exact same business class flight, I could book it through Chase for the same $1,504 cash price, or I could redeem 120,312 points in the portal. And when we do the math, that's where the 1.25 cent per point value comes from when redeeming points in the portal. So I would much rather pay 60,000 United miles transferred from 60,000 Chase points instead of double that at 120,000 Chase points in the portal. But okay, now as we get into these next two really cool examples in this video, I just want to mention that even though these flights can be booked with mostly points, there is still going to be that cash cost with many point redemptions, like that small $5 fee in the first example and $116 in fees for example number 2. And on top of that, whenever you're traveling, there's always going to be extra costs that you need to be aware of and plan for things like food, activities, rental cars, and pretty much anything else you can think of. So what I like to do every month is I set aside some of my income into a travel fund. That way I'm basically budgeting for my potential upcoming miscellaneous travel expenses. Now, what I always recommend for travel funds or any other cash savings is that people use a high yield account. So a really good option for this would be something like the Wealthfront Cash account, because they have one of the best accounts out there that pays one of the highest APYs, which currently is at 4.05% as of the filming of this video. Wealthfront Cash also has a really simple and user-friendly interface that I love, and it's got all the features to look for in a high yield account, like no account fees, up to $2 million in FDIC insurance through partner banks, and a bunch of other things too. So go ahead and check them out at the link I have down below if you're interested. But now for example number 2 in this video, I've got an even better deal for another awesome lay flat business class seat. And this time we're gonna be flying over to Europe. So that is gonna be business class on Iberia from New York JFK to Madrid, Spain. The key to finding the best deal here on this flight is to be flexible, like I said before, because if you're flexible, then you can choose to travel on either peak or off-peak dates, which can give you super cheap business class redemptions that can make flying over to Europe a really enjoyable experience. So first, to find peak versus off-peak with Iberia, just do a quick Google search for Iberia peak calendar, and then we'll click on this link here to Iberia's website. This is gonna show all the dates in red, which are peak, versus all the off-peak dates in white. And because Iberia has distance-based award pricing, the amount of Avios, which is the points and miles currency that Iberia uses, that's gonna vary depending on what city you're flying from and what city you're flying to. Now you can do a quick Google search if you wanna find blogs that are out there talking about and breaking down each of these distance-based award flights. But since New York JFK is a really popular airport to leave the US from, all you really have to know for this example is that peak awards from JFK to Madrid are currently going for 50,000 Avios one way in Iberia business class, but then off-peak pricing for the exact same flight is only 34,000 Avios, and obviously United and Iberia are different airlines with different products, but essentially using 34,000 Avios from transferring 34,000 Chase points compared to 60,000 United miles from 60,000 Chase points, that could be a great deal. But let's go check for dates first and compare cash price versus cent per point value. So if I search on the Iberia website by selecting pay with Avios and then putting in JFK to Madrid for that date in October and then clicking on search, what we're gonna find here is a 7.5 hour nonstop red-eye flight with business class availability for only 34,000 Avios. Now, one thing to note is that I did find a lot of availability for award flights in business class, which only showed one award seat available. So if you're traveling alone, then that's fine, but you might actually wanna look a little bit deeper if you're traveling with someone else, or you could always look at flying flying premium economy if you want, which still gives you a good deal and plenty of space with your seat, but obviously premium economy is not a lay flat seat. Now, if we scroll down, we'll see that in addition to 34,000 Avios, which we can transfer from 34,000 Chase points at a 1-to-1 rate, we also have to pay $116.80 in taxes and fees for this international flight, which isn't that bad compared to some other award tickets with some other airlines. So we'll take note of that for when we go to calculate the cent per point value. But next, let's go ahead and find the cash price for the same ticket. So let's go back to the Iberia homepage and enter in the same info without checking pay with Avios and then clicking on search. And as we look through our options, we're gonna see the exact same flight, which normally would cost $2,331.20. Now, if we do that cent per point calculation, we'll take the full cash price and then subtract the $116.80 from taxes and fees on the award ticket, and that gets us $2,214.40. And then we'll divide that by the 34,000 Chase points that it would take to book the 34,000 Avios award ticket. And that gives us a value of 6.51 cents per point, which is an amazing deal. I'm not even gonna show you the Chase portal here because compared to getting 1.25 cents per point on the Sapphire Preferred or 1.5 cents per point on the Sapphire Reserve in that portal, you're getting more than 4 to 5 times that value by transferring your points instead. And just to compare something really quick, but if you had 34,000 Chase UR points and you wanted to redeem that as cash back, then you'd only get $340 of cash because cash back converts at a fixed rate of 1 cent per point. But instead, if you wanted to go to Europe and enjoy fun experiences with travel over cash back, which is what I love doing, you could take those same 34,000 Chase points and book a $2,300 business class ticket from New York to Madrid and only pay an extra $116 in fees. So personally, I would take that deal 100% of the time. And I think this is a perfect example of why I still choose to go the path of travel with points and miles in my credit card setup over cash back because the upside value is just so much higher and I like to travel. But okay, now for the third example of redeeming Chase points for max value in this video, let's change things up and pay for a full all-inclusive vacation for 2 people down to the Caribbean with points and miles covering all flights for both people and a resort hotel stay. And for this one, we're gonna stick with an economy flight, which isn't always the best value for your points, but the hotel stay is gonna be where this vacation for 2 people might really be worth it because like I said, it's all inclusive, so the food and drinks are included, and that could save you a ton if that's what you're looking for on your next trip. So for this example, we're gonna fly economy on a 3-hour, 40-minute flight with American Airlines from my home city of Philadelphia to Montego Bay, Jamaica, and we're gonna be staying at the popular Hyatt Zilara Rose Hall Resort for 4 nights, all on Chase points. Okay, now first, let's book the flights because American Airlines is actually not a direct transfer partner with Chase. So what we have to do instead is a little trick by transferring to British Airways, who is a Chase partner, and then we can use British Airways, who also uses the Avios currency, to book an American Airlines flight through their partnership that they have together within One World Alliance. Now, airline alliances can get confusing, so I'll make some future videos on that, but my dates for this trip are going to be from Saturday, May 20th until Wednesday, May 24th, and on the American Airlines website, when we search for the cash price for that Saturday, it's costing $237 per ticket one way, so that's $474 for 2 tickets. Then for the flight home on the following Wednesday, the economy price per ticket right now is $282 or $564 for 2 tickets. So next year, let's head over to the British Airways website to see what that might cost in points and miles. So again, I searched for this ahead of filming this video because availability for booking American Airlines award tickets through British Airways can actually get pretty tricky, and sometimes it's not an exact science, but I found the same American flight there on Saturday, May 20th for 11,000 Avios, which can be transferred from 11,000 Chase points plus $49.60 per ticket, so that's 22,000 Avios plus $99.20 for 2 tickets. Then for the flight back on Wednesday, I found the same American flight again for 11,000 Avios as well, but this time the taxes and fees were $96.72 for each flight, so that's another 22,000 Avios plus $193.44 for the 2 return tickets for you and your partner or you and your friend. Doing some quick math here on the screen like I showed you how to do earlier in this video with the first example to calculate the cent per point value, so just rewind and rewatch if you need to hear me explain all that stuff again. But on the tickets in both directions, the 2 tickets to get to Jamaica come out to a value of roughly 1.70 cents per point. And then for the math on those other 2 tickets for that return flight home to Philly, that's gonna come out to a value of roughly 1.68 cents per point. So again, those are not the same 6.5 cent per point values like we saw from that Iberia business class flight. And honestly, the cash prices of around $200 to $280 per one-way ticket are not that bad, so you could always pay in cash if you wanna save your points for better uses in the future. But if you absolutely wanted to use as little cash as possible and rely mostly on points to book this vacation, then the cent per point values from transferring over to British Airways to book these American Airlines flights are at least a little better than booking directly in the Chase portal, because that beats the 1.25 or 1.5 cent per point values depending on what Sapphire card you have. Now the hotel, on the other hand, this is where we can start to make up for some of that cent per point value just a little bit, because if we look at the points calendar, which we can find over on the Hyatt website, we'll see that we actually have some cheaper off-peak dates on the days we're looking to book. So let's look at the cash price versus the total points price for booking this. Now for the cash price, we can see here in this comparison tool through Hyatt that we vary from roughly $539 to $589 per night, but the total for all nights comes out to $2,215.20. And from what I can tell at checkout, it seems like there's no additional taxes and fees, because usually those are going to be itemized if there are any when you go to pay. Plus, I did a little more digging around and found an article over on the Points Guy and some other information from other sites out there which said that this is an all-inclusive resort, so that price you pay includes all meals and drinks, including alcohol, and then there's no additional resort fees or any other stuff like that, no matter how you book. But then if we go to book the exact same stay in points, we can see that 2 of the nights are 21,000 points and the other 2 nights are 25,000 points. So in total, that adds up to 92,000 Hyatt points needed for the stay. And of course, that can be transferred from 92,000 Chase points at a 1-to-1 rate by using a Sapphire card. To put that into perspective, 92,000 Chase points can be converted to $920 of cash at 1 cent per point through Chase for anyone focused on cash back, or 92,000 Chase points could be used to book this all-inclusive stay that's priced at over $2,200. So effectively, you can look at it like you're booking a $2,200 resort hotel stay for $920 worth of points, which would be a discount of over 58%, or since hopefully you earn those points from your normal spending habits in the first place just by using the right Chase credit cards, that $2,200 resort hotel stay is basically free if you want to look at it that way. Regardless though, for the value here, we take $2,215.20 and divide that by 92,000 points to get 2.41 cents per point, which is a pretty solid deal. Again, it's not a super high cent per point value, but remember that prices fluctuate anyway on these hotels, so sometimes the nightly rate could be hundreds of dollars higher or lower. And also, value is subjective, so you might consider the stay even more valuable because it's a cool getaway that's all-inclusive without too many extra costs. So my point here with all these examples in this video, but especially this last one, is to use your points and then use them how you want to. If you want to fly business class and book flights that cost thousands and thousands of dollars for super cheap with points, then go ahead and do that. But if you don't care and you would much rather stretch out your points for more economy tickets, then you could do that too. Or you could look into booking nice hotel and resort stays with places like Hyatt. And I've said this in other videos, but Hyatt is one of my personal favorite ways to use my Chase points because of the consistent value that I'm able to get through their program. But above all else, just make sure that you're not wasting your Chase points and making the mistake of redeeming them for gift cards or Amazon purchases or worse. So definitely go check out my full guide to redeeming Chase points for max value over here next if you haven't seen that already. If you want to see all your redemption options and the process for transferring points for travel partners, or go check out part 1 of my series on examples of the best ways to redeem Chase points for travel with this video over here. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.